What is up, guys? We're here to break down UFC Brooklyn, the first UFC card of 2019 and the first ESPN Plus card ever.
So we're going to skip over the Chance Raconteur fight just because he was supposed to fight Randy Brown. Randy Brown pulled out a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a late, last-minute guys that we don't really know anything about either way. So we're not going to be able to give you guys any educational input on that. So we'll start with Belal Muhammad versus Geoff Neal. Muhammad, he's got kind of not so much a grinder, but he's well-rounded, but doesn't stand out in any one area. Geoff Neal's more of a knockout guy. So I think that for Muhammad, obviously, the way it's going to go is for him to win, he's going to have to take him down, stay out of that striking kickboxing range. But Geoff Neal lands almost 8 shots a minute at over half of what he throws. Doesn't really eat anything. I've got Geoff Neal winning by second round knockout.
Yeah, I agree. I like Geoff Neal in that fight. From what I've seen of him, it's a little bit more push the pace kind of fighter.
Yeah. And then the other thing is he's a high takedown defense too, so I think Belal will struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean anybody that is more of a grinder and looking for takedowns, looking to put you against the cage, if you can stop that and keep moving, keep yourself in the middle of the octagon. We saw it against Max and Ortega. Ortega trying to clinch up. If you can keep a guy in the middle, they're gonna have a harder time getting that clinch area.
Yep.
But I take Neal. Third round TKO.
No, I'll be the one. Before you guys, obviously we haven't spoke about this, but before this I was thinking that Muhammad Belal would just end up getting to a point where he's more like
Make it nice and bright.
there we go.
Works.
So
I feel like it looks better in your picture.
I think I'm gonna roll with Muhammad, and mainly because I think that this fight might be a bit of a snoozer because he's not going to want to get knocked out. So I think what's going to happen is he's just going to try to keep Geoff pressed up against the cage for a lot of it. I think he's going to try to close the distance. He might get a takedown here and there. I don't think he's going to be able to get him down and hold him down. But I think that's what Muhammad's going to want to do. But I think he's going to spend a lot of the time holding him against the cage, fighting for like hand positioning. And I don't think a whole lot of action will happen in that fight. Maybe early, but I think once Muhammad potentially gets hit once or twice, he's just going to try to close the distance, hold him up against the cage, and I think Muhammad's going to take a decision. So.
Okay. Rex?
I'm going to go the same thing. I'm taking Neal on that one with a knockout. I'm going to take second round. Reason being is I don't really see this fight being too much of a ground game because we both look at them. Muhammad actually has a higher takedown defense at 90%, and Neal only has 80%, but that's a really big difference. Neither one of them really big-time wrestlers, kind of stuff like that. I mean, if it goes to the ground, it's here or there, either say, but I see it be more of like a slugfest and going at it, and I have Neal taking him out in a second-round knockout, catching him. I feel like the first one's going to be more like touch, fill out, figure out what's going on, and then Neal just kind of catches him. So.
All right. And then on to a guy that I used to really like on Tough, Dennis Bermudez, fighting. And how do you say, is it T?
T. Edwards.
T. Edwards. Bermudez hasn't looked
He's
hot
fallen under
recently.
some tough times.
Yeah, after
He's
Tough,
lost, his last 4?
Yeah, last 4 or 5.
Yep. There was a time where Bermudez looked rather promising.
He looked like
He was. He definitely had.
He looked like he was fighting his way up, and he just hasn't been doing so hot recently.
He got knocked out by Jeremy Stevens, and it seemed to be a real downswing for him.
Yeah, so I'll let you guys go. I'm a little bit biased towards Bermudez because I did like watching him fight so much on Tough. So I'll let you guys talk some sense into me.
There's not really a whole lot of stats that you can pull for T. Edwards just because he has only had, outside of the Contender Series, he's had one fight in the UFC. They don't track anything for the Contender Series, so there's nothing really to pull. There's not enough there to see, to give you a feel of what his game is actually like. That being said, he fought Don Madge. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. Lost with a second round TKO. So, it's hard for me to pick him just because of that. I will say he did look really impressive on the Contender Series, though. He's a very athletic guy, very fast, kind of explodes forward a little bit. But, like I said, losing to debut against some guy nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
It's a little hard for me to roll with him. I know it. You know what you're getting in Dennis Bermudez. He's a little bit more of a wrestler. So I got Bermudez winning a decision.
I have the same. I got Bermudez winning via decision. Like Austin touched on, I find it really hard to pick somebody who you don't know a lot about, especially when you're looking at somebody who you know has a lot of tools and potential to...
Yeah. He's got experience and a background behind him, nonetheless.
He's just got to get the mental part together.
Yep.
I think if he can overcome some of his mental issues, he can still be a pretty decent fighter. I don't know if he'll be up there in that top echelon, top 5, but he can definitely be in top 10 again. But I think Bermudez in this one, if he does take an L, I think that could be pretty devastating for him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're riding a 4, 5, 6 fight losing streak.
I mean, Jason Knight just lost, his 4th or 5th in a row.
4th or 5th in UFC cut him.
Yeah, so it could be on the line for Dennis Bermudez.
That's kind of why I'm taking Dennis Bermudez in this. Again, it comes back to the fact that with this guy, Ty, that he's fighting, you don't really know a whole lot about. Yeah, he's won 4 of the last 5 fights he's had. Granted, but how many of them were in the UFC against top contenders? We all know the UFC is more where top contenders go. Dennis Bermudez has lost 4 of his last 5. Now, granted, 3 of which were by split decision. Yeah. Against Elkins.
I forgot about that.
Touchy Feely and Rick Glenn. So the last 3 fights he lost by split decision. So they were very close fights. The other fight that he has lost was actually knocked out by the Korean Zombie in the first round. After that, he's lost 3 fights in a row by split decision. And I kind of am in the boat where he realizes what he needs to do and has to get this done. Yeah. Because I feel like this is kind of one of the ones that I'm a huge Dennis Bermudez fan. I love him because I like all the wrestler guys, stuff like that. But I feel like he's that guy that he knows in his head this could be almost like my last fight in the UFC. Like, I have to get this done. Yeah. So I'm going to roll with him with decision. I don't really see... I see action here and there. I think it's been more like a ground kind of game, go back and forth, and a little bit of stand-up.
Like you said, I think he's fought very good fighters too. In his It's not like he was losing to
scrubs.
Right, and the fact that my thing is that,
he's not losing to Don Matt.
He's losing to top guys.
I think what sticks out for me is like the Darren Elkins thing. Like if you lost by split decision, Darren Elkins, but we all know how hard that guy is to even put away to begin with. So like, if you beat him by decision, but split decision. I mean, that's just going to say it could be one of the fights where he could have potentially won, or it just kind of comes down to how that night was for the judging. So I'm taking Dennis Bermudez with decision on that one.
All right, I'm glad I don't have to pick against my guy, Dennis Bermudez. So I will roll with Dennis Bermudez as well via decision, holding him down probably for 3 rounds and trying to get the ground and pound on and point him out. So.
With that being said, like I said, T. Edwards, the key for him is going to be obviously stay off the ground, stay off the cage. Yep. If he can do that, I think he stands a very good chance at outstriking him. Just in the little bit I have seen, he has looked impressive on the feet. I just don't know if he has the tools to keep it off of the ground, keep it where he needs to keep it. All right. The next fight was supposed to be John Lineker and Cory Sandhagen, which had some potential to be a fight of the night at Dark Horse.
Right.
I'm disappointed that Lineker did end up falling off just because this had a chance to be a absolute mauler in Lineker versus a very technical guy in Sandhagen.
And Lineker's always fun to watch at 35 just because he's got such heavy hands.
As long as he's not fighting somebody like TJ that's going to take him down and hold him
down.
Like
he's almost like a Clay Guida in a sense. Like, he's just kind of, like, ready to throw down, but he has, like, a bit more technique than Clay.
Yeah.
Like, he's ready to take it, and he can take it, but he just keeps pushing forward.
Yeah.
Hands of stone. Head of stone.
With that being said, Lineker being out, Mario Bautista is filling in for him.
Mhm.
He's 6-0. This is his UFC debut. I don't think he's even fought in any other big promotions. So
Yeah.
I don't know any of these guys he's fought. Yeah, he's Combate Americas is where his last fight was at. So I'm going to roll with Sandhagen. He actually lands a lot of strikes. He lands 9.85 strikes a minute.
Dang.
Yeah. At a 56% clip. He doesn't get hit a lot either, less than 3 strikes. And he has 100% takedown success. So nobody's ever stopped him from taking him to the ground. So just the fact that this guy's stepping in short notice, his UFC debut under the bright lights, I think
Against a guy that's going to throw a lot of shots at him.
a lot of strikes, and looks like he'll be able to take him to the ground if he needs to. I think Sandhagen's got the tools to. I have a decision just because I'm not super familiar with Sandhagen's fighting style, so I'm going to go with decision, but I definitely have him winning it.
I think we're all probably going to agree on this
On
one.
Sandhagen, yeah.
On Sandhagen. I'm going to take a second round TKO. I think it's going to be a stoppage. A guy coming in, it almost sounds like we're picking somebody up from like a local gym, local fighting union here. It sounds like Sandhagen wanted to continue to fight, and they scrambled to find somebody.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see the levels of the sport. There's reasons why these guys are in the UFC and this guy's making it a debut.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, with that being said, I think with him making his debut, I think he's going to have a lot of nerves.
Yeah.
And so I think coming into that first round, he's going to get hit up a little bit and go into that mode where every time he gets hit, he's going to try to throw the same strike back to like land the same thing that he just landed on him. And so with what I see happening is I think in that first round, he's going to be anxious and throw a lot of shots just to try to counter. And then I think during that second round, once he gets his first round done, he will probably calm down a little bit. And then I think that's what's actually going to lead to his downfall. I think in that second round, he's going to be a little bit more relaxed after having one round in. And I think Sandhagen's going to catch him and put him away in the second.
I'm taking the exact same thing. I think, like Austin said, I think just the punches is going to be too much. And like how you said, Bush, it's the fact like it's your debut. And I know a lot of guys, they can make excuses, say this and that, but it no matter who you are, how high level you are, anything, whenever you step in the octagon, especially in a place like the UFC and having all those people watching you, and knowing that that's like the biggest platform of your sport, you're gonna have some kind of nerves. And I think he's gonna make a mistake more or less and get caught on something, which could be a good thing because it could be a lesson for him to learn. It gives him like that pause and then go. But I just think the punching went too much for him. It's gonna get to him with his nerves. So
now, guys, the other thing with this though. Like I said, I'm not changing my pick. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. But for you guys, anybody that's watching this, Alex Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez was a late fill-in when he debuted against Benavidez Dariush, who he had, going into that, nobody was going to pick him.
Yeah.
So.
And he looked fantastic.
Yeah, came out and knocked him out in spectacular fashion. So that's not to say that this guy can't come in here and put on a show.
Oh yeah, anything can happen.
It's just from an analytical standpoint, it's hard to choose a guy like him on short notice against someone that has.
As far as we know, this guy could be.
He could be the next. Yeah,
just come in
the next big.
Or this guy has insane power and just comes out just skadoosh.
Yeah,
ends him.
I think it's highly more likely that he.
Right. We're just saying.
But that's possible as well.
All's possible in fighting.
Yeah. And just to kind of solidify Sandhagen a little more, because I have my original breakdown here with Lineker, and I had him picked to beat Lineker also. So that brings us to Alonzo Menifield and Vinicius Alves Moreira.
I actually like this fight a lot.
You can go ahead.
I do. The reason being I like this is because it's like one of those ones where it's total opposite play style. Alonzo, he's the big power guy, undefeated, 7-0, knockouts. He actually has 7 knockouts, 6 of them being knockouts with 1 submission finish. Whereas Alves, He's 9-1 with 8 submissions. Now, what makes this interesting is his loss though is by TKO, so he could get caught on that. I think that's what makes it interesting because it depends on where this fight goes. Depends on who, you know what I mean? Yeah. How it ends up for who. I just like that matchup, seeing two different worlds compete against each other.
Grappler versus striker.
Right. And that being said, I'm actually going to take Alves with a second-round submission on that one. I think he's going to catch Alonzo, and he's not going to see it coming, and it's just I just see that happening. I don't know why. I just feel like it's just something's going to sneak up, and he's going to catch him with something, and that's going to be it. But I don't know why I just like this fight. I just like that whole different style matchup, and record-wise and the way they both look, it just looks like it could be a really good fight.
Either you guys got anything you feel is super pertinent to say?
For me, it's hard to choose a guy strictly with power over a guy that's... I don't know a whole lot about his takedown defense. It's my problem. I don't know how many wrestlers this guy's fought in the back, like in his past. And so when I see that, it's easy to jump on the undefeated guy that's got a lot of power, that's easy to... They can finish someone, but it's really hard to choose against a guy with that you know has superior grappling in a fight because he can dictate where that fight goes. So I'll go with a.k.a. Vinny. I'll call him Vinny instead of Vinicius. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his name, but I'll go with Vinny just because I think he's going to be able to dictate where the fight goes. I think he's going to avoid those power shots coming in, and I don't think he's going to want to stand and trade with someone that has knockout power like that. So
I'm just going to go with Alonzo. I don't really know much about either. I haven't really watched either of these two fights, so...
Okay. I have watched Alonzo Menifield. I watched both of his fights on the Contender Series, and the dude has scary power. And it's also not like... I want to say, kind of like Ngannou, I guess, where it's got to be like... He has to have you on like the perfect range. Like I've seen him, I think his last knockout, it was like 6 seconds. Dude went to shoot him and just popped him on his way in. Like he's real good at catching angles and creating what he wants, creating the space that he needs to put a finishing touch on it. I don't know anything about Vinny.
It works, man.
Yeah.
Vinny.
Like you said, that because he's a grappler, chances are he probably is able to dictate it. Yeah. But without me knowing anything about him, without seeing any of his fights, those submissions very well could have been like Brian Ortega, where he may not be good at finishing the takedown.
Well, this is what I will say about Alves, though. I've looked into him. He actually does a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions.
But jiu-jitsu, straight jiu-jitsu competitions doesn't dictate wrestling ability either, though. I mean, you look at guys that do nothing but jiu-jitsu, and a pure wrestler will go in there and dominate them.
And the other thing to
I think he's just trying to add to like the comfort on the ground type thing.
The jiu-jitsu thing. When you're doing those jiu-jitsu tournaments, it's very different than MMA because you
have to worry about strikes for a takedown. You can go in there as wild as you'd like and go for a takedown because you're not going to get the shit punched out of you on your way.
Once you get smacked one time there, they're like, oh shit, and scramble a little bit.
Yeah. So, just because I've watched two of Menifield's fights and they both ended in knockout, I'm going to roll with him. I don't know anything about
we have a
the other guy.
decision in the group.
Yeah. Alright. That brings us to Joanne Calderwood and Ariane Lipski. Ariane Lipski?
I don't know how you pronounce Lipski's first name.
Violence Queen. What's your nickname?
Good for her.
Or Queen of Violence.
Good for her, he says.
I'm going to roll with JoJo. She's tough.
Yeah.
She's not going to give up. I haven't seen
Lipski fight, huh?
Lipski.
Is she coming from?
Is this her first fight in the UFC? Or
Yes, that's her debut.
Yeah. I mean, 11-3, not a bad record to scoff at, but
there's levels of competition.
There's reasons why Joanna Calderwood was in the UFC before you. I mean, Level of skills, same reason Ronda Rousey was one of the first in the UFC. But it adapts, so I could be way wrong. So, but I'm going to roll with Calderwood.
I'm taking Lipski. I'm going to take her a third round submission, and she wins her debut. She is 3-2 in the last 5. Calderwood is. And they were all in the UFC, which makes it really push for her. Because we came back to a first one I must pick, because that UFC experience helps to it.
Yeah.
I feel like Lipski again with the submission. I think she catches her in the third round and gets done in her UFC debut.
It's just hard for me to choose someone on the UFC debut that I haven't had a ton of hype or heard about a ton coming into it. And Calderwood is very tough. She's very durable.
Never been knocked out.
Yeah, she doesn't get put away. And so because of that, I think just because of some of the base experience, the fact that she's fought in the UFC before and she's super tough, I think she'll grit it out to win a decision via Lipski. But I don't know enough about Lipski to give her that upside that says, yeah, she's coming in on her debut, but she has this, and this going for her, or she's beat these people outside the org that are renowned. So, gotta give it to Calderwood.
I originally went with JoJo, just for the same reasons you guys did. But this week on Instagram, YouTube, I don't know. You guys familiar with Robin Black?
I'm not.
Okay, he's a very, very smart person as far as fight breakdowns go, and he does this thing every couple days, every day, I'm not sure, but it's a 1-minute breakdown, so he'll take a short fight clip and break down why what happened, opinion, just because there's a lot of talk for somebody outside of the UFC. It seems like she has a ton of upside, so I'm gonna roll with her. I'm gonna say a decision. Just, like you guys said, JoJo doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about her to pick a submission win, but I'll take I'll pick her to win a decision.
On to a fight I'm afraid to make a pick for.
Me too. I'm pretty sure I picked wrong, but learned my lesson from last time. So we got Alex Hernandez versus Cowboy Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
Which, this is a very dangerous fight for Cowboy to be taking at his return to
Back to
155.
55, yeah.
Hernandez has looked super impressive.
This is one of the ones where Cowboy took though, and it could make him look really good if he does it right.
Well, yeah, if he comes in and wins that, he's...
But I'd still rather see him fight a guy like Pettis that has a name and that's higher ranked, and in my opinion is an easier fight for a guy like Cowboy.
The thing of it is, though...
Wonder Boy rumors?
Yeah. So we won't.
That's a conversation for another time.
You brought it
but
up.
The thing with Cowboy is, I'm sure that Alex Hernandez wasn't his first decision to fight, but there was probably some of these top-ranked guys. I mean, we've seen it. The top of the division is just backlogged because nobody wants to fight.
I think another thing is, too, and we actually talked about this today, a recent post about Anderson Silva saying about how he actually wanted the Diaz fight instead, and he says he's actually getting irritated with the UFC because he says the UFC, more or less the way they look is, they're having all these old legends of the UFC face all these new kids to push them.
Yeah.
And I think it's another
that's what
Cowboy thing.
And Cowboy's not somebody that's going to say no.
Yeah.
Right. And
so they throw the contract at him. Cowboys probably go, all right, let's do it.
But realistically, that's how you build
after he fought Perry, he said, I want to get back in there. I want to go to 55. He said, look out, Habib.
Yeah.
Whatever he said.
Yeah, he wants to go
he was
fight for the
eager to
belt.
go fight at 155. I just hate to see him come back and fight like this. And for me, Cowboy brings so much more in terms of name value than Hernandez does, that this is a tough fight for me as a Cowboy fan to want to watch him fight, because if he wins, it's cool. He's going to get a guy ranked a little bit higher, probably with a name already, but I would have rather seen him come back and fight a guy top 8 that already has a name that I think Cowboy would have been competitive against. So
Yeah, I mean, I see this kind of like the Darren Till fight. Very, very dangerous for Cowboy. I mean, he could get knocked out at any second.
Yeah.
But every fight against Cowboy is a dangerous fight as well, and it's promoting a younger guy. So I mean,
which is smart.
It's win-win for the UFC.
You get these young kids that are like really good and really talented. Why not put them against top guys that even people like, not saying everybody that's watching this doesn't know a lot about, like, some people may only know like the Brock Lesnar's, the John Jones, the big name guys.
Yeah.
So everyone knows Cowboy. So this kid coming up, that's a good stature for him to have. Like, hey, I beat Cowboy Cerrone. He's like one of the staples of the UFC.
That's why it's a win-win for the UFC.
Right.
Yeah.
If Cowboy wins, he's a huge fan favorite, and they're like, cool, we can push him again. We can make more money off of him. Hernandez wins, they're like, great. He has the name value now. We push him to a 5, 6, 7 ranked guy.
Right.
And we start moving him towards that title fight grind.
Yeah.
Which in a sense is
what I bet that's what they're hoping.
Right.
But
in a sense, though, it's like really nice though. With this one, kind of like swings both ways with it, to where both fighters do get something winning out of this. It's like when this guy's like a big name guy comes in and fights like a nobody, and it's basically you beat him, but as a nobody. Cowboy wins. You didn't beat a nobody. Hernandez is a pretty stature guy. Like he knows what he's doing. To beat him is big. And with the same thing, Hernandez beating Cowboy, you beat a staple center of the UFC. So it's one of them ones where it's kind of win-win for either one, depending on who wins it. So it's really not anyone getting screwed on it.
Right, and like I said, it very well could have been a situation where the UFC's hand was forced. Maybe they didn't. This wasn't their plan. Maybe they intended on throwing Cowboy right into the top 5, but because of Khabib's not fighting, Connor's probably only going to fight Khabib or fight somebody that he's guaranteed a title shot if he wins.
I don't think suspension came out for either one of them, though. Yet.
Dustin they're still not
Dustin
able to.
wants a fight up. Tony wants a fight up. Like, they only want to move up the division.
Yeah, so that whole, everybody in the top part of that division could have been like, I'm not fighting Cowboy. It's not going to do anything for me. So, I mean, my thing with this, I picked against Cowboy last time when he fought in Denver. I thought Perry was going to knock him out. We'll see if that weight cut, what that weight cut does to him. Previously, when he fought at 55, there was times he looked like a killer, and there was other times where you could tell that weight cut was affecting him.
Right.
With Hernandez,
cut the beer out.
Yeah, cut the beer out.
Yeah, he's getting there.
With Hernandez, we've seen him fight twice in the octagon. Both guys were primarily grapplers, so I'm interested to see what Cowboy's striking style is going, what challenges those will present to Hernandez.
Right.
And if Hernandez takes him down, we just saw it in that last fight, Cowboy, his jiu-jitsu, I think, is very underrated in the UFC. He has 17 submission victories in his career, and it seems like nobody really talks about it a whole lot. So I'm rolling with Cowboy. I can't pick again. I'm not picking against him again. I think that the way he blends his style is going to offer some. I think this is going to be a learning step for Hernandez, to where he loses this one, and then you see him make that giant push into being a top contender for the next 5-10 years. But I got Cowboy, 3rd round submission.
I'm going to take Cowboy, 3rd round TKO. I think the old man still got a little left in the tank. I think he's still dangerous.
And I think with that kid, I think he's super motivated to get that belt.
Yeah, I think he's still got it in the tank. He looked good against Perry, and I don't want to pick against him. And isn't Hernandez your pick?
My head says Hernandez has the skills and the vigor to get it done to beat Cowboy, but my heart says don't fucking choose against Cowboy. So
he's obviously going to lose since we are now picking him.
Yeah,
so
now that the
we are very sorry, Donald.
We love you, bro.
I'm sorry.
Don't hate us for if we're not attending this.
I don't want to watch Cowboy lose.
Dude, I get so mad. I hated Darren Till for the longest time just because he beat him, and I now hate who's that dude that beat him in Singapore?
Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards. I can't, especially because it seems to be those English guys that like to talk shit, and that bothers me so much more.
What about you, Rex?
I'm taking Alex Hernandez. I'm gonna take a second round TKO. I think he stops him. I think what it comes down to is this, exactly what everyone hit on with Hernandez is. I think he's younger. I think he's stronger. I think he has that ambition, that push. Not saying Cowboy doesn't, but I think Cowboy's got that state of mind where he's like, you know what? I may get another title shot, I might not, but I'm here to stay, and I'm going to keep my ground and push. And he's very hard to pick against, because he's one of them guys that when you pick against him, he ends up showing everyone like, hey,
Yep.
you guys
You're
are
fucking wrong.
Yeah, you fucked up not picking me. But I just feel like that young strength, ambition, and the technical skill that Alex Hernandez brings with his striking and that power, I just feel like it over absorbs Cowboy. That being said, I would not be surprised one bit if Cowboy pulls it out of his ass, because you can never count Cowboy out. But I'm going to take a second round TKO by Hernandez on Cowboy.
Yeah, head or heart.
I'll roll with the heart.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Cowboy via decision. I think it's going to be a good back and forth fight. I'm hoping that Cowboy can lean on his experience and just his technical kickboxing to take it. So
I'm hoping we see.
Yeah, this is one of those ones. Because Hernandez doesn't strike me as a shit talker, and I'm kind of a fan of him anyways. Before this.
Yeah.
So this is one of those rare opportunities where if Cowboy loses, I'm not like, fuck that guy.
Not throw darts in his face on your wallet.
This one changed too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Glover fight.
Yeah, and this is another one because of the change. It changed my pick.
Yep. That's exactly what it did for me. I don't beat him.
Yeah.
I thought the footwork and the
I'm
strength,
hoping-
power, and everything like that, I thought he was going to knock
I'm
him out.
hoping we see
the
Matt
second round.
Brown, Donald Cerrone.
No, because he took a lot of damage in that fight.
I don't care.
That head
No,
kick was fucking
that's what I'm-
beautiful,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
That
I don't
head
care
kick
about the rest. I'm
was
talking about
beautiful.
the beautiful
Rick's
kick.
story is the one I'd like to see.
I'm fine
That
with either.
finishing combo was a thing of beauty.
I love the Matt Brown head kick is tough to beat in
Yeah.
my opinion. That was. Whew, but on to Glover versus
and K baby
Karl,
or baby K.
Baby
whatever.
K. Baby K Roberson, yeah.
Roberson is 185er.
Yep.
Filling in on late notice against a guy who has been considered a top 205er for a long time.
One of the most powerful. 205.
Yeah.
Roberson didn't finish his last fight, did he?
No.
Okay, yeah, I thought he went to a decision with Marshman. Filling in on late notice, Glover, I feel like, is one of those guys that you kind of have to have a game plan to fight because he is so good everywhere. You need to kind of know what you're doing.
You have to
against
choose
him.
a plan and stick to it, kind of a thing.
So, just for that fact, the late minute replacement, I'm going to roll with Glover. I think he's just well-rounded. He's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I'm rolling with Glover. I mean, true, trusted. And old man still got power.
Yeah.
I think it gets it done. Might not be pretty, but
Yeah, this could very well end up being a snoozer.
See,
I think it could be a distance fight.
I will choose Glover to win a decision, but there's this seed in the back of my mind that says
Is it?
Robertson's going to come in here and he's going to catch Glover in the second round, and Glover's going to panic, and then
It's
Baby
very
K's going to
it's
finish.
very possible. And then if that happens, look for Roberson to get
Moved up.
at 85. Yep,
Yeah.
he's going to jump up in competition real fast.
Yep.
What I'm seeing in my head is Glover getting knocked out by that Rumble uppercut. It's ever since I started looking at this card, it's all I see in my head. So I probably should pick against it.
That's what I
Yeah.
pictured whenever he was fighting Kudalaba, but just the size difference and the late round replacement makes me change. It just I can't. It's hard for me to.
Yeah. All right, Brax.
Taking the same exact pick for the same reasons. I think the late notice comes into effect with that one. I think, granted, like you guys said, Roberson beats him. It's not. I think the problem with this is he is moving up weight, And it's the fact that when he moves up that much weight, there's a big power difference almost between those two weights because like them guys can go heavyweight and they got some power on them. But I think the thing is that catches me most is moving up to fight Glover isn't like an easy task. Just, like Glover's a guy that sticks out. Like he's not an easy target. He's like a top guy in that weight class.
He's been a top 5 guy for what, 5
For
years?
a long time.
Right.
Longer than that. He fought John Jones in like 2011, 2012, I think.
So originally I had Glover losing the fight, but I'm going to take him now with this late replacement because I think the weight comes in that factor. I think the power's going to play in. I just feel like that late notice is going to hurt Robinson on that one.
I think Glover's going to use his wrestling.
Yep.
He's going to kind of pepper
I think
him
he's
with
going to use his
shots
weight
and
a
take him
lot.
down. Yeah.
And play that for an advantage.
PVZ, Rachel Ostovich.
Yes.
You can open this because you're most familiar with Rachel. You're probably the
On
only
Tough?
you're probably the only person to watch that season of Tough.
Oh, I may have been.
Out of this room, I mean.
But yeah. But
You're the only person to watch that.
if
Gutter.
my memory serves me correct, I believe she's a fighter that likes to close the distance and kind of get in close with you and strike, and she kind of likes getting you against the cage and taking you
grappling.
down. Yeah.
Yes.
She likes to close the distance. Nuh-uh. I had a general idea.
He's going like this with his hands.
What does that mean? Anything?
It's what you're looking at on her.
We're falling off the fucking rails again, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
You're going to have to edit this clip a lot.
Ostovich is going to want to take this to the ground, and Paige is going to want to stand
Right.
and trade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when you just look at the two, it looks as if Ostovich is going to be the heavier of the two fighters. When I look at them, Paige looks like she's going to be the smaller, quicker fighter. Ostovich, being the grappler, will probably be the heavier fighter and try to hold Paige down. And with that being said, I think that Paige does have better stand-up. But I haven't been really impressed with Paige's ability to stop people from getting her against the cage or taking
I
her
haven't been
down.
impressed with Paige, period, really.
And so I think Ostovich, the only curveball in this is she's got a lot going on in her personal life.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how that's going to affect her in the training camp and leading up to this fight. But I think Ostovich has the skills to be able to close the distance and take Paige down and grind her out for a decision. So that's going to be my pick, is to go with her to take Paige down, close the distance, and win the fight that way. But there's also a strong chance that if Paige can stop those takedowns, she hands down takes it. If she stops takedowns, I don't think there's a way that Rachel strikes with her to win the fight, in my opinion.
Where did Ostovich finish in the Ultimate Fighter? Was she?
She didn't fight in the finale.
She didn't fight in the finale.
She fought
no.
on the finale.
She fought on the card.
She
but
fought. She won one or two of her fights on Tough, I believe. That's a long time ago. What season was that?
It was
last
just
year.
over a year ago, yeah.
Really?
Because the finale was when we were in Detroit.
Yeah.
Or the night before we...
Yeah. I'm going to roll with Ostovich. I have not been, like my friend over here in the green said, I have not been impressed with Paige since she's come to the UFC. I think she's a very good face for the UFC.
She sells a lot just because of her looks.
I think she has potential of excitement, but she's never pieced everything together. She showed flashes in the pan, flashes in rounds with fancy kicks and interesting punches, and I'm taking last fight out of it with her breaking her arm and that.
Right.
You can't judge anybody for losing a fight with a broken arm. Like, there's
True.
nothing you can do about that, and you're at a disadvantage. So, in my opinion, like, for the fighter that lost, it almost should be chucked up as a no contest or something for them. But, yeah, I think Ostovich is going to get inside, wrestler. I mean, Paige,
Rachel won one fight on Tough, and then she lost to Barb Honchak, who I believe made it to the semifinals of Tough.
Okay.
Take Ostovich. Second round submission.
I'm going to go PVZ just because
implant power.
I haven't watched Ostovich fight ever. Now I do follow her on social media, and I am a fan of her. I will root for her, but I just think she's 4-4. All 4 of her losses there's 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. Paige is a pretty good finisher for especially the lighter weight women's fighters go.
And she likes to strike. She really likes to throw.
Yeah. So I think that Paige catches her. Maybe early I could see this fight being very similar to the Beck Rawlings fight that Paige had, where she caught her with that switch kick real early in the fight. So I'm going to go with Paige with a second round knockout.
Take Ostovich. I think it comes down to how Bush said it here. She likes to get inside. She likes to grappling. She has 100% takedowns, 100% takedown defense, compared to a 40% takedown defense by Paige VanZant. We've seen in the past that her ground game is not the best, clearly. And I think it's going to come down to time whenever she gets a hold of her and she gets in close, she takes her down. I think Paige more or less gets worked up and nervous about it, and it gets to her. And I feel it'll be a second round. Ostovich just catches her with something and taps her out. I think the whole ground game is going to catch her. Paige, to me, I feel, though, she had a lot of... That's what I'm looking for. Potential. But I think she kind of fell off, more or less. And, like, the whole... I feel like anymore now, all she cares about are her looks and posting stuff, this and that, and just looking good. I really don't feel like... I'm not saying she got away from the whole fighter thing. I believe full-heartedly she wants to do it, and that's what she, makes a career out of, and she's not bad at it, but I just feel like she's kind of lost a step almost, and I feel like Austin...
She's like using this as a tool to better herself from a career standpoint, not necessarily super dedicated strictly to fighting.
Like, I don't think she's pushing it as much as Ostovich, and I think ground game is going to beat Paige VanZant, and I think second round tap out. That's how Ostovich is going to beat Paige.
So, next we go to a longtime contender in the flyweight division, Joseph Benavidez, and he's fighting Dustin Ortiz.
Was it a tough one?
This was like the toughest one, I think, that I picked.
I didn't really struggle too hard with it. Side note about Benavidez, there may be signs that flyweight isn't going away because he just signed a new 4-fight contract with the UFC and made it sound like he wouldn't be moving up to bantamweight. Now that's not to say that if he doesn't move up.
Bantamweight before, has he not?
I think he's
that's where he started before they had the division.
Flyweight division.
Yeah. So, but like I said, that's not to say that
The UFC.
if they say you're fighting at 35 and he goes, no, I'm not, that they don't just outright release him.
And it's also not saying the UFC didn't go, oh yeah, flyweight's going to be there. No doubt.
Totally going to fight at flyweight.
They leave that room and go, yeah, flyweight's fucking gone next week. That shit happens all the time.
Yep.
Every company, not just UFC or anybody.
Yeah. All they care about is money. They don't care. Yeah. Keeping the top name, they'll lie to him if that's what they need to do.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, you're taking a very good fighter and keeping him under contract. That's what it is.
I mean,
regardless of that division's there in 6 months, 6 years, or what, he's a great fighter.
Yeah.
It's a good business decision.
So with Dustin Ortiz, you're looking at a little bit more of a grappler than a striker. He does have 8 knockouts, but I think he kind of sets his striking is more there to set up his grappling, and if he catches them on the way in, then Benavidez, we've all seen he's good everywhere.
Yep.
And doesn't really have one particular weakness. He only has one loss to somebody other than DJ in the last since flyweight was.
And that was the split to Sergio, right?
Yeah. Loss.
Yeah.
But
that was in Chicago. Yeah, we were there.
Yeah, and we all felt Benavidez won.
Yeah.
So I've got Benavidez winning. I just think that I think he was the best flyweight not named Demetrius Johnson, and I would be very interested to see him and Henry Cejudo have a rematch.
I 100% agree. This fight was hard for me to pick because I do think Dustin Ortiz is a very, very good fighter.
Yep.
And I think this is going to be a very exciting fight because they both are well-rounded everywhere. And I think the wrestling game is going to be neutraled out between the two, and it's going to become more of a striking match.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to make this a very interesting fight. And, I mean, if you watch the flyweight fight, you know it's just going to be fast-paced to start with. And especially if you're taking the ground game, the wrestling, the clinch out of it, a good deal. I think it's going to be neutralized. It's going to be a pretty interesting striking matchup. That being said, I 100% agree with Austin that I think Joseph Benavidez is the best flyweight that has been in the flyweight division other than Demetrius Johnson. His only losses really come to DJ, and I mean, DJ is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think he shows that again, that he's still one of the top, if not the top flyweight in the division. I think if flyweight stays around, I would be very interested to see the Cejudo Benavidez.
If he wins this fight and Cejudo defends, that's your next match. Yeah, it has to be the next fight, just because Benavidez, like we said, he's only lost to DJ and Sergio, which was bad judging.
Rather
in our decision, or in our opinion, it was bad judging.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Benavidez. Dustin Ortiz has fought some of the guys that came out. He fought Brandon Moreno, who came off of tough, who Moreno actually looked surprisingly pretty well since then. I think he did finish him. I don't remember how, but
I think he did.
Moreno did beat him, and he fought Alejandro Pantoja off of tough as well and won a decision against him. But I just think that Benavidez is on a totally different level of those guys that came off of that tough series. Now, granted, I think there were a lot of talented guys that came off of that, but I think Benavidez is just on a different level, and I think it's going to showcase in that fight. So
I'm going to take dark horse this one. I'm taking Dustin.
He actually lost to Brandon Moreno.
Yeah,
he lost.
Moreno
second round, rear naked.
I'm going to take Dustin by decision. I just don't feel like this fight is going to have a stoppage. I feel like it's going to be a decision because it's hard to stop both of them. Like, for instance, Dustin Ortiz has never been KO'd. I just feel like it's not going to happen where it's going to be a finish fight there. He's on a 3-fight win streak, which really momentum and pushes him on. He had 2 fights last year, won both of them. I feel like he's just on a push where he's going to go. And I think it's going to be a great matchup between the two. And I feel like with him getting a win over Joseph Benavidez, it really statures and puts him where you got to actually give
catapult him up to the top of the
You got to be like, okay, Dustin Ortiz is the guy we really have to look at now. You know what I mean? But I just feel like it's going to be a tough, gritty fight going back and forth. And I feel like he just takes it with decision.
On to a guy that we've come to really enjoy watching as of late. Yancey.
Yeah. And then probably your top prospect at lightweight, Gregor.
Hate his family.
Yeah, his mom sat behind us in Pittsburgh, and well, what we assume is his mom, and it was not an enjoyable
We're going to assume
experience.
it was his family. We won't name anybody. They were very loud and proud.
Yeah.
But this is probably the easiest fight for me to pick on this card. I think Gregor Gillespie is hands down one of the most well-rounded, like you said, the best prospects in this division coming up. Not taking anything away from Yancy Medeiros. We know how tough he is with the Alex Oliveira fight, the Cowboy fight.
One of the better fights you will ever see.
He's a tough guy. He's not backing down. He's going to eat all these shots. But where I think this game changes, Gregor's wrestling and ground control is phenomenal.
Yep.
And if you haven't watched him, tune into this fight. You're going to see somebody, in my opinion, you're going to see somebody basically show you a wrestling clinic and win this fight.
I mean, if
I'm
you
gonna
could
take
get
it
there, just
via
to
decision.
build on that. I mean, thinking about it, I'd be very interested to see him and Khabib go head-to-head.
It would be very interesting. I mean, I want to see him match up against him. This is
Maybe Kevin Lee first, because Kevin Lee has a very similar fight style to him and is much closer to him in the ring.
Right.
Yeah. Like this is his first real test in this division. I mean, they've been kind of building him along slowly, like the way you really should build a prospect.
Yeah.
So nice and slow. He's had 2 or 3 fights in that year and a half span. So I mean, he's getting his action. I think he's hands down a guy that you need to keep your eye on in the next 2 or 3 years in this division. But I think he's gonna. It's hard to pick against him. Not winning via like a TKO or submission on the ground because he is so good. But I think he just rides this one out. But would not be surprised if he finished it TKO or submission round 1, 2, or 3. Just it's kind of his ball game to pick and choose when he wins.
Yeah.
And he's not gonna overextend himself to try to go for a finish. He's gonna kind of wait, find that opportunity, and if he sees the opportunity, he'll pounce on it and finish it.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. I thought Yancey was a lot bigger height-wise than Gregor was, because Gregor always kind of struck me as a small lightweight.
And Yancey
Looked
has
like
fought at 170.
Yeah, he looked like a
like
tall
a normal
guy at
170. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, Yancey does have
reach.
a 4-inch reach advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, Flick pretty much touched on everything I wanted to touch on. Gregor's grappling is next. I mean, it's next level. It is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is,
And like we
Yancey lands a decent amount of shots, but he eats
a lot,
way
yeah.
more than he lands. So I've got a third round KO, TKO. I've got Gregor controlling through the first two, really wearing Yancey down because I think that weight cut is probably going to take a little bit more out of him.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Yancey used to fight at heavyweight?
I think I have heard.
Yancey seems like one of the guys who will fight whoever, whenever, so I'm not surprised.
No, like regularly fought at heavyweight.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised. Like I feel like he would
It's
fight
literally-
at whatever weight class.
Yeah, here.
It's literally
Just
just like
picture on
Max said.
Sherdog,
I'll
look.
I'll fight whatever weight class you want. I'll move up. I'll
Yeah.
eat.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't like I'll fight him like
Yeah, he was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
But so he fought at 70 and he looked good at 70. I don't know what he walks around at, but I mean I would imagine cutting to 55 is going to take a little bit more out of him. So I got Gregor wearing him down for 2 rounds, catching him flush with something in the third and beating on him and finish him that way.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Gregor to win the fight. I think it's going to be very similar to Austin said. I think he's going to wear him down in those first 2 rounds. And Yancey's going to be tough to put away.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of heart.
And that's
The dude has no quit in him whatsoever. But instead of getting clipped, I see him getting caught in a submission in the third round just when he's tired. I think he's going to be trying so hard to constantly be getting back to his feet, back onto throwing punches where he feels so comfortable that I think it's inevitable that at some point that superior grappling is going to, as he's only thinking about getting up, he's going to be able, Gregor's going to be able to slip in, take his back, or just
triangle
get
or something.
something slipped in there just to catch Yancey. So
And
I
that-
think it's going to be in the third when he's actually really tired.
And that's why I went with the decision. I think Yancey's just so tough that you're not going to see him get knocked out. And he's not going to quit.
Yeah.
I'm
he's sleeping
taking
or
the exact same thing as Bush for the exact same reasons. I feel like it's gonna come out and Yancey. It's gonna be like one of those like the Cowboy and Mike Perry fight. Yancey's gonna come out and it's gonna be like a slugfest and that. But I think Gregor is the smarter one of the two, where he's like, I'm not just coming out here to slug. I'm just setting you up to wear you down. Whereas Yancey's like, I'm gonna put on a show, a striking clinic, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And Yancey absorbs so many punches and so many strikes. I feel like that's what kills him. And he's having a good time. And he gets wore out as that goes on. And Gregor just capitalizes that in the third round and catches him and taps him out. But
fair enough. Yep.
Okay.
On to
Our co-main event.
most likely a rather fast finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will probably be the shortest fight of the night, is my prediction.
Fun fact. I mean, he's only had 3 professional fights, but Greg
All
Hardy,
of his fights have been fast.
Greg Hardy has never been out of the first minute of any of his fights.
The first minute?
The first minute.
Damn.
Oh, this is like
I've seen his Contender Series fights, but I've never really paid attention to where
This is like
they ended
back
at.
when-
I was looking at like Sherdog's thing, and it was all of them were within the
Yeah.
first minute.
And
Crowders?
I don't...
No, Greg Hardy.
Oh, yeah, Greg
Yeah.
Hardy's on the first.
And I'm not saying that solely because Greg Hardy's Contender Series fights.
Right.
Also because the last time we saw Alan Crowder fight, we literally saw him in person versus Justin Willis,
Yeah,
right?
and got
Big
slapped.
Pretty in
Yep.
Chicago early. That was the,
O-Town. December of 2017, Detroit.
Oh, that was Detroit. Oh, that was Detroit because I
you
saw him in
flew
the
there.
airport. Hey, I forgot about that. So yeah, it was even longer ago than I thought, but he got slept. And they're going to have this similar fight styles where Greg
Yeah.
Hardy's going to be throwing huge bombs.
Yep.
Now, if Alan Crowder can find a way to not get knocked out in the first round, we've never seen how well Hardy's
what his
cardio
conditioning is like.
holds up. So with
I'm not
you know,
worried about that. to
being
be
a
honest.
professional athlete, he most
Yes,
likely
I'm not worried
knows
about
how to
his
train.
cardio.
But at the same time, if he's constantly throwing super heavy shots, regardless of how good your cardio is, it's hard to maintain that over a fight. But regardless, I don't think it goes that far, and I think Hardy knocks him out
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, I got Hardy with an early knockout. It's just... That's what they're setting it up for. I don't think they would put Greg Hardy in the co-main event if they weren't confident that's what was going to happen.
It's exactly what they're expecting, what they want, and it's what's going to happen. To counter your point, I don't think Greg Hardy's going to have any kind of conditioning issue once he does get some tougher fights. I think
if it's a stand-up fight now, but if he gets a grinder, I could see him having some big time problems.
But a guy that's trained to play 60 minutes of football at the highest level.
Right.
He's highest level professional athlete in a second sport now. I think he's going to have good condition. I think he's going to win this. We'll focus on this one. I think he's going to win this one pretty single-handedly, easy.
Yeah.
Maybe not easy, but...
I don't think this one really has
not super difficult.
Yeah.
You can see why the UFC made this fight. It's
pretty
clear-cut, dry. Like I guess this should be a give-me-win introduction to the UFC audience.
He already has the name draw, and they see the potential of his knockout power, kind of like they did Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's see how this happens. Let's make this happen. And we need a puppet here to eat some shots.
Basically, Alan Crowder's going to be a glorified punching bag in this fight.
Yes.
I got Hardy in the first, obviously. Now, again, I have, watching Crowder fight, I go back like Bush said. And you guys, it is arguable, like he has pressure on this and that, but he's never gone more than a minute in the UFC, let alone, he's never gone more than one round, let alone a minute.
Yeah.
So if Crowder can withstand, which I don't think he will, watching his fights, he's a wrestler, but his wrestling really isn't that great or that outstanding to watch. But I just feel like that strength from Hardy throwing it, I just don't see any way Crowder comes off on that one. Unless it goes to the second or third round and we see Greg Hardy is the guy where it's like McGregor and runs out of gas after so long.
But I don't know if that'll happen.
Yeah, I just see Hardy finishing the first.
I just found this out this week. It just kind of popped into my head. Hardy trains at ATT, and you don't really none of their fighters are really known for having conditioning problems. So.
And on to the main event.
That one was pretty clean cut, dry. Not a whole lot to break down there.
Yeah.
On to our title fight. Henry Cejudo defending against TJ Dillashaw.
At 125.
At 125. Let's get the big talking point for me out of the way. TJ looks so small. He lost a lot of muscle mass. He's already thin. I don't even know what his weight's at right now, but
compared to Henry Cejudo's latest picture on Instagram.
Yeah, and Henry Cejudo looks jacked.
Looks like Schwarzenegger winning this year.
All right. Maybe Schwarzenegger's leg.
Compared to TJ?
He looks like Schwarzenegger's leg.
But compared to TJ is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, that's going to be a big thing. Plus, I think he's having a rough weight cut because Braxton told me about this last night. I went back and listened to it today. TJ was on UFC Unfiltered last week and was extremely temperamental with those guys. He was like, they didn't tell me I had an interview. I'm at training right now. I'm like, just hung up the phone on them. Like, he didn't even give them an interview.
Right.
So, I think he's having a lot harder time making this weight cut than he thought he was going to. So for me, it's just the size difference. Cejudo is a power wrestler. I think it's going to make a difference. And TJ, I'm not going to go too long because I've talked about this a lot, especially on our Champions Breakdown video. The power wrestling, TJ's a guy that if he feels like a fight is slipping away from him, he gets super frustrated and that footwork goes away. That movement goes away, and he telegraphs a lot of stuff. So I think Cejudo frustrates him with that wrestling, and pretty handily takes a pretty clear-cut decision, if not knocking him out because of that weight cut taking too much out of him.
Yep.
I picked Dillashaw in the Champions thing, preluding that I think he's gonna end this division.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with the pick. I think. A lot of, like you guys are saying, I think the weight cut's going to play a factor, but I don't think it's going to play as big a factor as people think. TJ Dillashaw's never been known to be the most powerful guy in that division. He's technical. Now going down in that weight class, are you going to lose speed losing that weight like that? You might lose a little bit, not a ton. You're more or less losing your power
I'm not so much concerned with him losing his power as I am. I think it
His
is. I think it's
strength.
going. It's not even that. I think it's going to affect his cardio. I really do. I think it's going to affect his.
But I think his
gas
strength
tank.
plays into it because like at that point where
strength,
TJ's
yeah.
cutting is he's literally cutting muscle off to make this weight. It's not even to the point where he's like cutting. It's like literally muscles coming off to him. When Henry is such a powerful wrestler, I feel like he gives up so much strength on that. And when Henry grabs a hold of him, it's like Henry grabbing a hold of like a stick, in a sense. Like it's just But it's hard to say. He could look really bad and be stud. At that
I think
weight. I don't know.
I think the thing is, if TJ just keeps his range, keeps his distance, that's where it's going to play the huge factor. And like I said, I don't think he's not really a power guy, so it's not like he's going to lose a ton of power or so much power that's going to make a difference of him dropping. I think he's still going to retain his speed. I think he's going to still retain his technique. I mean, you're not going to lose your technique.
Just because you went down a couple pounds.
Yeah. I think the cardio could play a factor, but it's up in the air. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's still going to have that technique. He's still going to be smooth and fluid on the feet as long as he keeps his distance. I think if Cejudo gets him down in round 1, rides him ground and pound, same thing round 2, ground and pound, then, like you said, you could see him get very, very frustrated in 3, 4, 5 and basically give the fight away rather than lose the fight. But I think he's going to come out. He's going to look fresh. He's going to keep his range. Cejudo may get him down, but I think he's going to get back up. I don't think he's going to get discouraged in 1 and 2. I think he's going to get up, keep moving, use his jiu-jitsu. I think it ends round 3 TKO. TJ.
See, I have the same fighter winning, but I have TJ via decision. And so similar to Flick, I think the weight cut isn't going to be as big of an issue. Yes, he does look way smaller than he does at 35 currently when you look at his Instagram, and Cejudo did recently have that picture where he looks absolutely stacked. But the thing is with me,
good lighting.
when I think about this fight, and I think about how much time and effort Cejudo's team spent training specifically for DJ. And that fight was still a very close fight. And if DJ's not hurt, DJ could potentially take that fight. And with TJ, there's no one that moves like TJ at 125. He's a very tough guy to replicate how he fights. And Henry didn't know how DJ was going to fight in that first fight. And that caught him off guard. And I think the same thing's going to happen with TJ. I think TJ's movement is going to be like something that Henry has never had to face. And just because of that, I think TJ is going to be able to outclass him on the feet and avoid his takedowns and being held down, and then to obviously better him in the stand-up and win out a decision. That's just how TJ is so well-rounded and so fluid that I just can't see Cejudo beating him, despite how big Cejudo looks and TJ looking thinner than usual.
Got Cejudo beating him in the 3rd round by TKO. I think it comes down to, again, the weight cut. I think the energy loss he's not going to have, like Austin pushed on there at the cardio. I think the strength plays a factor in it. I think the play that TJ gets frustrated. Yeah, TJ is very creative in the way he fights, and he's very entertaining, and he's very hard to train for. I just feel as if, though, whenever Henry gets a hold of him, I feel like TJ is going to have in his mind, like, this is going to be a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. He's a lot stronger it's going to be. And I feel like, as Austin said, he keeps getting taken down. He gets more frustrated. That being said, I would not be surprised if TJ beats him, because I also feel a small part of me is it's almost like the Rockhold Bisping thing. No one would have picked Bisping over Rockhold, and I don't even think Rockhold himself thought that Bisping could beat him. And I feel like Henry might come in with that same mentality, like, you ain't going to beat me. We look at the matchup, look at the same, like, we're talking about the weight cut, all this and that might get to him to where he might get caught. But I'm still going to take Henry with a 3rd round TKO stoppage.
We shall see what happens next Saturday at UFC Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Where apparently you're allowed to fight with breast implants.
I would like to change my pick for the Ostovich and PVZ fight. That's actually going to win via...
That is definitely getting cut.